and what government is planning to do.
Thank you very much, Kidega. I'm hoping I'm clear. Okay, thank you so much. You've tackled a very important theme of mindset change, and of which we have been really focusing on since the day you go of office. We have been focusing on mindset change in different fields, not only in the idea of cattle rearing. So, but on the aspect of cattle rearing, we have always given a mindset change. We have organized barazas to talk to the community on, engaging in business of, selling cattle, selling goats, selling donkeys, so that they can acquire, wealth and also a livelihood. They should leave the aspect of not really concentrating on keeping a lot of animals, but they should keep animals that is really enough for them. And that is why right now we are trying to open the cross-border roads to South Sudan and also to the Turkana side in Kenya, so that we can do a lot of trade with these other bordering countries actually in Africa. So, and also, we also do mindset change on the issue of land. We have a lot of mining companies that are targeting Karamoja because of the minerals that are existing. Basically in Kaabong, we have a place called Loyoro, which has a lot of marble. And a lot of, mining companies have come in to try and claim these minerals and also try to deprive the locals from their rights of holding land. But we have come in doing mindset change that they can form communal land ownership, the CLS, then also any of them talk about leasing of land to these companies. So mindset change, we are really doing it in a robust way so that our locals can benefit from the little they have, not just remaining in poverty because of the loss of the animals. And also you look at most people want to come and grab land. So that is what really we are trying to do, mindset change in Kaabong district. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I will come back to you definitely. Lucy Okwera. Okwera, let me just bring you in on one aspect. Okwera, I have heard some Bararo say that they legitimately procured this land. Some of them even have land titles, okay? But government is evicting them. As a human rights activist, are you only an activist for the rights of the people of Northern Uganda, or you are an activist for the rights of the people of Uganda? And if so, where does the right of legitimacy of ownership of this land come in? Because some Bararo are saying that they even have land titles. They procured this land from the locals, from the community owners, okay? But the government is saying, please evict and leave the people of Acholi alone. So where is the thin line, okay? Is the rights only applying to a group of people, or these rights should cut across? So speak to the aspect of those Bararo who are saying that they legitimately bought the land and they have land titles, or are they just lying to the country?
So I was saying human rights, of course, definitely is for everyone. It's not only particularly for the people of Northern Uganda. And I think if the Balalos, some of them have acquired land legitimately and they have land titles, then that land is theirs. Just like I was saying earlier, that if they come and buy land here and they have a negotiation with the locals and they buy land legitimately, then that land is theirs to own. And of course, they have every right to use it. I was talking to the fact that some of them just come and use the customary land that is there for grazing and other thing without, having ownership over it, maybe through purchasing it, just like you mentioned. But also to give you an example about the issue of land ownership. I am from Pade district and now in Gulubat. I remember in 2019, while I was there was an issue that was really, really battling with the community, because we had some Balalus who could go to the community and want to hire a specific size of land, let's say maybe they want to hire about 5 acres of land to use it for a particular period of time. So the community members would accept, because some of them might not be using, their whole piece of land. So they accept, it's okay, you can hire this land, use it for this period. And then when the period elapses, we could have another agreement for you to continue, continue using the land, or to give it back to me. But there was this one instance where one man went and requested to hire about 10 acres of land. And he came, of course, with the agreement papers all written in English. And this community member this Muzee didn't know how to read English. So he had someone in the community read it to him. He didn't understand the clauses very well in the agreement. He just accepted and signed the agreement. But just a year after, when that agreement time elapsed and he needed his land back, the man said, "This is not your land anymore. You sold this to me." And the Muzee was like, "No, I didn't sell it to you." He was like, "Do you remember the agreement you signed, a year ago? You sold it to me." The case went up to court. The Muzee is insisting, "No, we agreed that you're going to hire the land, not buying it from me." So zeroing back to your question, if the land was acquired legitimately and they went through the right processes of buying it and they owned it now, I think it is only right for, the community members to also agree that, yes, this is their land as much as it was part of our land, but you already sold it to someone. That is giving out your full ownership. And even better, if they already have the land title, that makes it their land, I think, in the Constitution of Uganda. So for the Walelos who already own land here, I think it is only right for them to use it as they wish, because that's their land. Thank you.
Yes, Lucy, just stay on. I have a follow-up question for you immediately. Let's speak about land as a resource. I know that land is a resource and a very important resource in terms of both economic development, but also transforming, society in general. But we also know that this resource, if not put into good use, becomes useless. I mean, if you have land there, but no one is using it, no one is farming on it, then what contribution does that land make towards the socio-economic development of the country? So do you think that there should be a deliberate policy that if someone has land, but they are not exactly putting it to good use, someone else who can put it to good use can come and actually, preoccupy the land and then maybe reach an agreement, so that this land at the end of the day is used for either an agricultural purpose or for cultivation or for rearing animals, so that at the end of the day, this particular land, these 10 acres of land, is making contribution towards the country's development, and it's enabling the country, increase its GDP. So just answer that, then I will cross over to Pius.
Oh, okay. You see, Moses, the issue is, I think for someone like you mentioned, there are other people who have very large chunks of land here in Acholi. They don't use the land, and they don't want also to give it out. But I think it all zeroes down to the processes that is always taken to acquire this land. Because like I explained for that example of Pade, now in that case, even if you are in that position of that Muzee, you wouldn't be happy. So I think if we have land and we are not using it, and someone else could use it better, and you have an agreement with the owner of the land, let's say to hire it or to lease it, just like the government does lease its land to people who can use it, I think it would really be okay for that land to be used. But if we don't follow the right processes and we come in terms of, we would like to use the land, then later we want to turn it to, to grab it, to take it as our own, then that's where we find issues with communities. Because like you may know, in our communities here, they feel like their land is all they have. They don't have any other, any other resource that they can cling to, they can call their own. They feel like their land is their life, because that's where they get their means of livelihood. That's where they dig, they farm, and they get their food. So I think it would be important if the investors or the person who feels that he or she is in a better position to use the land can come and have an appropriate conversation with the owners of the land, and they have an agreement either to hire order to use it, but also the owner of the land should be able to benefit in one way or the other. But this issue of people just coming because I have the ability, because I have the power to come and they come and just want to take away your land because you might not be able to use it all and they just want to take it, that is wrong. If you want to use my land, yes, I might have land, I might not have the capacity to use it all. If you want to use it, come to me, let's sit down, let's have an agreement. How long are you going to use this land? How am I benefiting from this? And we just have, I think, a conversation about it before you just coming and taking away my land.
Yes, you've heard it. If you want to use my land, come to me, let us sit down on a round table, let us negotiate and agree on how the terms and conditions are going to stand. Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, thank you, Lucy. Vanessa,
Yes.
I hope you're there with us. I would have loved to bring in Pius Okot, but Pius Okot is having issues with network. Vanessa, let me come to you. Vanessa, yesterday, the president addressed the country, and I know for sure that you're a proud member of the National Resistance Movement, and I'm sure that you heard the president's speech yesterday. The president, in his attempts to urge Ugandans to move towards development, said that the first and most important sector of development is agriculture. And agriculture goes hand in hand with land. Agriculture isn't like ICT, which doesn't need land. You know, agriculture needs land for it to thrive. The young people of Gulu and the young people of Acholi, if they are to be part of the agriculture sector, they are equally going to be on the high demand to have access to land. So from a young leader's perspective, do you think that young people in Acholi or in Gulu have access to land so that they can actively participate in agriculture that the president is urging the country to participate in? So do you think young people in Acholi have access and ownership to land so that they can participate in agriculture and other economic activities? Or land is owned by our parents and our grandfathers only? And for us, we are only living on the streets of Gulu and, nothing like farming or agriculture.
You see, the majority of the young people here, most of them have stayed in this town for a long time. All they do things and other things like dig, and are rearing animals, and some of them are doing that own type of tools. But most in this are really owned by their parents. If the parents have a land, like assuming for the youth within the city here, the land is occupied with buildings, and what the youth benefit from it is houses for rent, not. But those who are in the, you find the lands are there, their aunties are selling, and you find that the money is being shared. Government of the to at least create a program whereby we can go to the villages, sit down there, advocate, people, and first of all, we have to bring that to us. You give a land to your grandchildren, they can bring they can bring all sorts of farming, and that money, the land is not only there for selling and then distributing the family members as it is being done here. So that is the things that are happening now. You now land farming. Like in other places like Namuru, where that the land is being given to someone from town here to rent and do their own thing there. But you find us they're not giving utilize that land and also probably do the same thing that the person renting the land from them are doing. So that is the only issue happening here. If we could create a process that would go and teach for the benefit of land, not only the benefit of putting it out and sharing the money can get done. Cultivate on the land, get something from the land, the money. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'll come back to you shortly. Bwana Commissioner, Gady Epitu. Gady, yes, I know for sure that issues around land grabbing and issues around cattle raiding, like you said, are done by people usually who have some level of influence and authority. People who can afford to use maybe LDUs, who can afford to have guns, you know. So the issue of disarmament becomes very important. If we are to deal with the issues around land grabbing, issues around cattle railing, we must address the issue of disarmament, because it is the people who have the guns who forcefully take other people's land or who forcefully raid other people's cattle. So what is the success rate regarding disarmament of the people of Karamoja? Because I know for sure that government has been trying to disarm people in Karamoja. So what is the success rate? Have people actually given in their guns, or they're saying, no, leave us with our guns?
When you're dealing with Karamoja, you're dealing with a community that believes that a gun is something that they can use for protecting their animals and also going to raid. And also, if you talk about saying that the people who have the guns are the ones who go and grab land, for that one is not really so true. Grabbing land is really on the circle of the big companies that come in search of minerals. You know, this land is endowed with minerals, then it has also a lot of rangelands for wildlife. So the companies that come in search of minerals are the ones that use the community that has no knowledge, you know, that has little knowledge on ownership of land. And also a community that is disorganized, that has no rights. That's why I told you earlier on, we are doing a lot of robust mindset change in Karamoja to ensure that people are informed right from the local person who has no knowledge, you know, who has not seen a blackboard, but at least know some law, that governs land. So when you talk about disarmament process in Karamoja is really ongoing, and we are seeing higher levels of success. The only major issue is that we have a challenge with the issue of the porous borders, both from the South Sudan and from the Turkana side. So we have challenges, the porous borders, where we don't have an exact route. And because of the terrain that exists in Karamoja region, where you find the borders have serious escarpments, mountains, you know, a lot of things. And it's very hard to deploy soldiers to really cater for all these routes. So you try to deploy in this side, someone uses the other side, you try to deploy this. So there is recycling of guns. You remove from this person, and again, the person goes back, and, you know. So the main thing that our governments should do really is to talk to the neighboring governments, the Kenyan government and the South Sudan government, to ensure that the Turkana who are bordering Karamoja also are disarmed. And also the Toposa from the South Sudan are also disarmed. This will really enable a sustainable disarmament and a peace that will prevail in Karamoja region. So basically, it relies upon the porous borders and the fact that our neighboring countries are not disarmed. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Maybe, Bwana Commissioner, I don't know if you know about this, but I would like to seek your opinion. So are you saying that our neighboring governments are not intentional regarding disarmament of their own people? Is it only Uganda that is disarming its people, or even governments of Kenya, like you said, and South Sudan are also disarming their people? What is the position of our neighboring governments?
Okay, thank you so much. With the interaction with one of the commissioners from South Sudan, a place called Budi, we had an interaction with the government, the other side from South Sudan to ensure, and of course they gave a promise, that was last year, late last year, and they gave a promise of ensuring disarmament in South Sudan, but we have not got a position from the Turkana, from the Turkana of Kenya. We have not got a position of, ensuring disarmament, but of course there are peace talks that are existing between this community, the Turkana and the Karimojong, then the Toposa of South Sudan and the Karimojong. So there are peace talks that are existing to ensure that peace prevails. But of course, all this lies on the fact that we should disarm, and both governments should disarm.
Yes, thank you, Bwana Commissioner. We wish you well in terms of those continuous peace talks and dialogues, and we hope that you can reach a long-lasting solution with our neighbors on the other side. Lucy Okwera, let me come to you. Lucy, you are an executive director of Chairty for Hope. I'm going to focus my next question on hope, but I'm going to tie this hope to the old man in Pade, whose story you told us earlier on. Lucy, like I was saying, you're the executive director of Chairty for Hope. And I'm going to focus my next question on the aspect of hope. But I'm going to tie this to your earlier example of the old man in Pade, whose land was unfortunately or ruthlessly, taken away from him. Now, this young man in Pade, his only hope, like Chairty for Hope, his only hope should have been the courts of law, whereby the court should have brought justice between this old man and the person who claimed to have bought off the land, So let's speak to the aspect of access to justice. Because if we are to address the issues of land grabbing, we must have a strong judicial system, whereby that old man in Pade runs to court to report the issue, and court can fairly adjudicate on the process. Court can give him the access to justice so that he can, rightfully retain what belongs to his. So do you think, whereas we are trying to address the issue of land grabbing and human rights, there is still a gap regarding access to justice in the country? Because, we all know about corruption, whereby justice at times goes to the highest bidder, So I pity this old man in Pade and many other Ugandans who are in the same situation like this old man in Pade, who cannot afford to bribe, a magistrate a grade 1 magistrate, or who can't afford to, pay a lawyer. So now that is where the government comes in. That's where government comes in to, provide circumstances where access to justice is easily attained. So do you think there's a gap between access to justice and people having to access their, human rights and rights to own all this property and things like that?
I was saying, unfortunately, yes. As we may know, Uganda as a country has very, very good policies. We have very good acts, but the challenge is implementation. In my several interactions with the community members and others having very many other injustices, issues of gender-based violence, and things like that, I have noticed that, like you said, justice goes to the highest bidder. Because if you don't have the ability to pay off your way through, the different pathways, the justice systems, it starts right away from the community. Because while issues of land, you can start from Ruat Query in the community, you go to the sub-county land committee, then it's taken to court if it's, it's a big case and things like that. But all these processes nowadays needs you to have some money. If you don't have money, you cannot be attended to. Someone who has money can have their issues, like rectified very fast. But because the Mzee didn't have money, actually I've been following the case is still dragging on up to now. They keep postponing the dates of hearing. They keep postponing. And now it is becoming a challenge because, one, this person who did that has the legal document that shows that the land is theirs. But this Mzee says that, no, this was not the agreement. So now the case has become very complicated. But in very many other issues, very many other cases, land issues, even the one of a power that Pius was mentioning earlier. We see these cases happening because the community members don't have, one, they might not have the right knowledge to even, present themselves in court. They don't have the money to pay the lawyers who can, represent them well. So they always don't receive the justice that they're supposed to receive. And this leaves them hopeless. This leaves them with no option, but some of them even end up giving up. Some of them end up committing suicide because to others, they hold land so dear to their heart and they feel like, if I don't have land, what else, So yes, I feel like there is a big gap between people attaining justice in the rightful way that they should, and people paying their ways in to get the justice their own way, even if it's not the right way.
Thank you, Lucy. Vanessa, I'm going to come to you, but to our viewers, just in case you're joining us right now, please feel free to put your comment on the comment section. Feel free to subscribe to the Civic Space YouTube channel. Feel free to like the conversation as it is ongoing. Like I told you today, we are discussing land grabbing, both in Acholi, but also in the entire Northern Uganda, but also the issue of human rights and access to justice in the entire Northern Uganda. And we are glad that you are joining us. Vanessa, let me come to you. Vanessa, last year, towards the end, mid last year, I read a Uganda Bureau of Statistics report that said that Acholi, the poverty levels in Acholi are actually very high. Okay. So, and earlier on, we had Lucy telling us that at times justice goes to the highest bidder. I pity the people of Acholi. I mean, should these cases ever go to court, and with all this maybe purported corruption, do you think a young person stands chance to win in case their land is grabbed? In case a young person in Gulu City owns land and this land is grabbed by maybe someone who is maybe influential or maybe, I don't know. And God forbid, in case the land is grabbed and they go to the courts where there is high corruption and there is, access to justice is very low. I pity our young people of Acholi. Do you think we can actually manage to sustain these legal battles as young people?
The person with the ISB that take the call, like the issue of grabbing has been affecting us, the young people, so much. And you find that if you don't like a very rich family, you have your land, access to get that land back, because most of our lawyers here, even those who are from our land, are being paid. You don't have any options to get your land back. What I urge you, some of our young youth here in the North and actually sub-region, is to really focus on something and do something, so that when times come for such a scenario, they can also the privilege to battle with those people who are against them or grab their land. And also, they should set a law whereby you don't take the court, because if you see most of these land, when it's taken to court, you find that someone has grabbed from a poor person, and when the man is in court, the other person who has to take the case, but again, someone with.
I think we have lost Vanessa. Vanessa, I think your network has jammed. Okay, Bwana Commissioner, I can see you're right there. Let's first digest the issue of access to justice. We know that so many people in Karamoja lost their lives, and these were probably children or brothers or aunties or fathers to someone. Let's speak about their justice. Has their justice been served? The lives that were lost or that have been lost in these cattle raids, in all these, raids carried out by the community members, has there been justice, or has there been any sense of justice for these people in Karamoja? or it is every man
thank you so
on
much.
his own?
Okay, Kidega, thank you very much. Actually, it is not every man on its own. And of course, you know the law of the UPDF is to protect the lives of the property and the lives of the people actually in all of Uganda. And we really target towards providing justice to every life that is lost. The ones that we can track and the ones that are dying in raids that have, those are victims of raids who have gone for a raid and have been killed. Those are the ones we can track. But the ones that who have died at home, who have been shot innocently, we really do our best through our intelligence to try and get the perpetrators. And surely we have had a success where most of the people have been arrested and justice has been served to most of these societies. Though I can't say it's 100%, reason being, of course, it is sometimes hard to access most of these criminals from wherever they are. But of course, we have at hand, the offices that we have at hand are really doing our best and to see that justice prevails in the community. That is really our main target. So well. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, for that. We hope that the people whose lives were lost, unfortunately, in these struggles really get justice at the end of it all. I can see we have lost Vanessa. Vanessa, okay, she's back. Thank God. Vanessa, thank you for joining us once again. But before I bring you in, let me bring back Lucy. Lucy, you are a peace ambassador of Umoja peace ambassador. And I must say that with the coming of the NRM government, the Northern Uganda part of this country has witnessed some great sense of peace. I personally grew up in Northern Uganda, in Acholi. I grew up in Gulu, and I remember the nights where, we would have children coming from all parts of the sub-region to come and spend nights in the city. I was one of those people who used to leave our village to come every night to sleep in the city because of the insecurity levels. But I must say the NRM government has brought in some peace, and we really applaud them for that. You as a peace ambassador, moving forward, because the issue of conflict jeopardizes our peace by all means, okay? So as an executive director and as a peace ambassador, moving forward, how best can the community learn to coexist with one another so that conflicts don't arise, so that we can live in harmony and live in peace, okay? So as a young person in Northern Uganda, how best do you think peace needs to, what approach should government take towards maintaining peace in the region? Do you think forceful eviction of the Bararo will create peace? Or do you think there should be maybe a committee set aside to follow up on these issues so that those who legitimately acquired their land maybe can be compensated and asked to leave? Or do you think the aspect of using a stick and a carrot of saying, leave this place by hook or crook will eventually, bring, because even the people of Acholi, are spitting fire. They're saying that you leave our land, if not, you will see our true colors. So it looks like it is a source of very big conflict, and it could compromise our peace. So as a peace ambassador, what approach should we take as a country?
I think violence and conflict is definitely not an option that we should take. Unfortunately, in the few months, we have seen that has happened with the case of the Balaros. I think before we even think of what the government should come in and do, as a people of Acholi, as a people of Uganda, we should also first look into ourselves. We should look into some of the ways we handle some issues. Because yes, as much as we might not be happy with the situation with the Bararos coming here and, taking large chunks of our land, others illegally, others, of course, own them, like we say, I think we should look at more of How can we have a communication? How can we have a dialogue? And how can we go about this? So I think the point of forming a committee to look into the issue and try to find out what exactly happened that made us reach up to where we are right now. Did these Balaros get the land in the rightful way? If yes, what can we do now that the people of actually the inhabitants of the land are saying, no, we want you out? What can be done about it? And I think you should find better measures of solving such issues rather than violent, because violent really benefits no one. Doesn't benefit the Acholis, doesn't benefit the Balaros, because in the case where the people are getting violent, they're chasing the Balaros by force, those people also, they're getting hurt. But even back home here, the Acholis, those who are involved in this violent act of chasing the Balaros, others are also getting hurt. Others are also, having, so I understand some houses were burnt down, some people were physically hurt, and things like that. So I think the government should come in and, if they could form a committee, which, by the way, should involve the local community members, which they shouldn't think of just, like they always do for the case of our land issues, just pick, ministers and, these big people from offices and bring them, form a committee to handle issues. No, I think they should come down to the community, get the different community members, get also from the side of the Balalos. It shouldn't only be from, the side of the Acholis, because this is an issue between two communities. So they should get some people from the side of the Balalo, they get some people from the side of Acholi, preferably maybe the community leaders and some, some community members who also have issues with that, whose land actually are being owned by the Balalos right now, even if they sold them or the Balalos are just using them illegally, Anyhow, they should come together, form a committee, and have a deeper conversation of how they should handle this with investigations of, yes, why have we reached up to this point where we have to chase these people violently? What happened? Did we agree that they should come here at some point? What's changed? What can we do about it? So I think they should just ask this question. They should just engage and, get both sides of the issue so that they can form a way forward and move on from the issue, rather than taking, violent actions, which, by the way, doesn't benefit anyone. And what I've noticed is this is becoming even tribalistic. They are trying to claim that Balalos, because, President Museveni is from, from that side. So they're saying it is President Museveni's tricks, to bring his people here to grab our land, which by the necessarily might not be the case. Might just be that these are individuals who wanted some land to graze their cattle, and they decided to come this side because there is some land. So I think rather than just having misconceptions and some blame games here and there, we should just sit together and remember we are all Ugandans and have this conversation, ask these questions, get their answers, and find a very amicable way of moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, Lucy says we are all Ugandans at the end of the day. And whatever the cost is, we must get together on the same round table and dialogue and find long-lasting, peaceful solutions to these problems. And let's not use violence in terms of solving these problems. We are moving towards the end of today's conversation, and I will have only one more question for all of you, beginning with Vanessa. Vanessa, you've heard what Comrade Lucia said. Lucy says that, government must use a local approach, a domestic approach. If you are to address these community issues, use the local leaders, use the LC1 chairpersons. And she said the road queries, take advantage of the 1-0 conversations that the people of Acholi tend to have every evening, to address some of these issues amicably. You sit in the local government. I understand that the local government has structures that go up to LC3. You have sub-county councillors. I don't know if they're parish councillors rather, but I want to assume that the local government has structures that cascade to the lowest administrative unit. If we are to go by the approach of our friend and sister Lucy, of saying that let government use the local leaders because they understand the community more than maybe the people who sit in Kampala and come up with all these policies, let's use the local community leaders. Do you think the local government, for example, of Gulu, is being at the forefront in terms of addressing some of these land grabbing issues? or it is being left to the elite, to the big people, to the people with big titles are the ones who are solving these challenges, and the local government and the community is being left aside, and also the local government, like where you sit in, is not playing an active role. So the question here is that, is the local government, for example, of Gulu, playing an active role towards addressing the issues around land grabbing and issues around the human rights of people of Acholi in general? Okay, I think Vanessa could have left us shortly, but let me come to you, Bwana Commissioner. Commissioner, I am forced to now just carry on the same question to you. Do you think, because yes, whereas you're an RDC, I want to believe that you work closely with the local government of maybe of Kaabong or of other districts within Karamoja. So do you think government is doing enough to involve the local leadership of these respective districts so that these challenges are take on an approach of a community-led solution towards addressing these challenges? Or we continue to use the elite, the ministers from Kampala? Do you think government is doing enough to involve the local community in addressing these challenges? Maybe you could speak from the perspective of Kaabong and Karamoja in general.
Okay, thank you so much, Kidega. Now, there is a reason why each and everyone is put in a position. There's a reason why LC1 is there. There's a reason why the parish chiefs are being put. There's a reason why, everyone is being put in his position to really do work. Now, involving the local community, I can talk in the concept of disarmament and also the concept of land grabbing in Karamoja region. Karamoja is one of the sub-regions in Uganda that has a higher say in, it has strong elders associations in Karamoja. The elders really have a bigger say in Karamoja, and they really help a lot in terms of all these mediations. And surely we are doing our best, and we always involve the local community. And that is where, of course, you get all the information. In terms of service delivery, you get the information from the local community. There is no way you can bring a minister from Kampala to come and mediate that issue in the Kaabong. No, unless he or she wants to come on her own. But surely the local community is the one we keep. And that is why we give attention to the elders. That's why we give attention to the youth, in all aspects, to make sure that all these parties are involved in decision-making. All these parties are involved, in hearing the say of government. And if you try to bring people from out, trust me, you're not solving the issue of the local community. But the locals themselves can help solve. In the issue of disarmament, the local community can help us in identifying the culprits. And in also knowing the most of the activities that are needed on ground, use the local communities. So there is no need of bringing the legislators. The political wing can come in, to chip in to try to help where, need be. But surely, in most of these things, we have involved the local community. We have involved everyone in the community to make sure that most of these challenges are solved. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Bwana Commissioner. The Commissioner says that government is using a pro-people approach towards addressing some of these issues. And I must say kudos to that. We pray that you continue using that approach that is community-led. Let me see if Vanessa has come back. Vanessa is still not here with us. But let me go straight to Lucy. No, okay. I saw Okot. Okot, your hand has been up. We have really missed you from the beginning of this show, but I can see your hand is up. Okot, let me just bring you in to first of all introduce yourself, then I'll give you a question. I think Okot is not with us. Okay, let me go to Lucy. Lucy, my final question to you is going to be slightly tilted towards the law. earlier on, you mentioned about the customary land ownership tenure system and all that. Do you think that moving forward, Uganda needs to review its land policy so that land ownership is much more flexible and not rigid, regarding ethnic attachment and things like that? Do you think there is need for a land reform, or you think the laws regarding land ownership is okay, but just at times people develop misunderstandings out of just maybe small, sentimental issues here and there, but the laws are actually okay? So, Lucy Okwera, that is my last question to you.
Thank you, Moses. I think, yes, the law that is there right now is okay. Just needs some bit of adjustments, because as you know, as time goes on, a lot of things are changing, and also as a people, we need to change the way we approach certain things. We cannot say that the way things were being handled in the 1980s should be the same way that we're handling things right now, because as we are growing as a people, as a community, as a nation, we also need to make amendments to some of these laws that were put in place. Yes, largely we have a customary land tenure system, which I think we should look also at seeing ways of adjusting that and having this land documented, because you find that most of these issues of the land conflict, if people start having land issues, one due to maybe boundary issues or land grabbing or some land being gazetted, like in the case of Apar, when these cases are taken to court per se, they don't even have any legal document to prove that this is their land. They just have their word of their mouth that this is our land. So I think there should be some improvement in the policies that are available, such that even the customary land tenures, tenure system should be documented. We should know how much land which family owns, how big, and things like that, so that in the event that maybe there is some conflict, this documentation will help to reduce like a boundary conflict. But also secondly, in case someone wants to lease out their land or hire their land for some investor or some other individual to use it for development, it is much easier because you have the documents and you can actually give from this part to this part, you can use it. So I think the policy right now, the land policy right now is okay. It just needs some bit of improvement to also cope up with the different changes that our communities are going through, and as a nation we are going through, but not to just get stuck on what we had about 20, 30 years ago.
Yes. Thank you very much, Lucy. Bona Commissioner, do you want to make a comment regarding the land issue? Do we need reforms regarding land, or do you think that the land legal regime is okay? Do you want to make a comment before I invite you all to make your concluding remarks?
Okay, I have some comment to make. Most of our communities are not really much aware, especially in Karamoja region, the communities are not much aware of all these land reforms completely. And there's really need to reach out to the community and explain the need for, like in Kaabong, we just started forming the communal land associations, to help in, providing certificates for their lands, demarcating their lands, surveying, because it's a wide space of land, and all this is because there is no information that has reached the community. There is no information that has, the administrators in the district have bothered to make them reach the community. And we're just starting this afresh. So what I can say is that all the parties involved really should try to make sure that this information reaches through the area land committees, reaches the community, reaches that old man, so that the person can understand all concerning land reforms. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Bona Commissioner. I am going to invite you later on to make your concluding remarks and also guide us on the way forward. But before I bring you in, let me bring Comrade Lucy Okwera. Lucy Okwera, thank you for joining us today. I now invite you to make your concluding remarks and also give us a way forward. How do we move forward regarding the issues around land grabbing and human rights in Northern Uganda?
Thank you so much, Moses, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really want to appreciate Center for Constitutional Governance for creating this space for us to, have these conversations and talk about some of these things that might be happening in our communities, but the world out there doesn't know.
Okay, I think we lost Lucy. Lucy, your network, we have lost you completely. Bwana Commissioner, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay,
yes,
thank you so much.
Your concluding remarks and way forward from this point.
Okay, thank you so much, Kidega, moderator of the day. I really want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with people the issues of human rights and land grabbing in Northern Uganda. And basically, I was tackling, of course, Karamoja region. It's a very, very good thing, and I want really to appreciate you and thank you for this initiative to make the voices be heard to the community. We have talked about a lot of things, and we have dealt on disarmament, mindset change, We have talked about land issues, a lot of things, and I really want to thank Lucy and Vanessa for their contributions towards this. And also, I want to thank you specifically for, trying to get the information that we need to share it to the community. There are some few things that I really want to pass across. And also, Lucy made in her comments that the community does not have the rightful knowledge, and also, the finances and the capacity, to win most of these cases on land issues actually, and it does not remain actually alone. It cuts across the whole of Uganda. There are some few way forwards that I want to really bring forth. We should really ensure that we do capacity building of the district administration, especially those in the area land committees. We do capacity building so that they can be well informed, so that their brains can be, renewed of what is there and what is not there. We should do capacity building to enable them at least enrich their knowledge. And also, we should carry out community barazas. This community barazas is the way we speak to the community and hear the community. And we should really continuously do them, and it is going to help us in mindset change. So we should really continue carrying out community barazas so that we can hear the community and the community can hear us, so that information flow can be brought up. So, and also we should also provide easy access to most of these services, to most of these offices. You very well know that it is very hard to access some of these offices, and we should really make the offices available to the poor person in the village, to the person who cannot access. That is one thing. We should really make these offices open for them. Then also, the last but not least is that on the issue of Karamoja, I can talk about Karamoja. The mining areas should really, the government should look at the mining areas and try to advise these companies, to always follow the right procedure while acquiring the land. This land has been for people, but because there's identification of minerals in the land, now you want to chase them away. No. We should really look at the way of leasing out the land so that the community can keep on benefiting from the land, even if they are mining. So that nothing completely is removed from, because this is displacement. They'll be displacing them from the land where the mining took place. So these are the few things that I want to pass across. And of course, I still send my gratitude and thanks to all the panelists of the day. And of course, to you, Comrade Kidega, I want to thank you so much. And of course, I I wish you the best in everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bwana Commissioner. That has been very elaborate. Let us hear from Lucy. Lucy, I think you're back. Lucy, if you're back, just go ahead and give us your concluding remarks.
But I was earlier saying, I think we need to continue having this conversation and letting people out there know what is happening, because through having conversations, that's when we can start, thinking of the solution. If we don't know what is happening, it's hard to think of what we should do next. And so also I want to concur with the Mr. Gady about, having barazas in community, having these reforms that we think should be done, communicated rightfully to the community members, engaging the community members and making them part of the processes that we think should happen so that we can have these changes, positive changes in our community. Again, thank you so much, Center for Constitutional Governance. Thank you, Moses, for hosting us. It has been a great conversation. And I hope to have another conversation with you and the Center for Constitutional Justice once again. Thank you.
Wow. Many thanks to you all, Comrade Lucy Okwera, the Executive Director of Charity for Hope, and also an Umoja Peace Ambassador. Thank you very much for sparing the time to be with us. You've been an amazing panelist. Comrade Vanessa Anyango, Female Youth Councillor of Gulu City. Thank you for joining us all the way from Gulu City. It has been a pleasure having you today. And even in your absentia, I must say that you've been an amazing panelist. Comrade Pius Okot, we couldn't get you online, but I was seeing your comments in the chat room. You've given us very great comments, and I must say thank you very much. Then finally, of course, our commissioner, the Deputy RDC of Kaabong District, and also my comrade in the National Youth Council. He is the Secretary for Publicity of the National Youth Council Executive, Comrade Gady Epitu, joining us all the way from Kaabong District. Thank you very much. You've been very educative, and I'm sure our listeners have learned so much from you. I am seeing Vanessa has joined us. No, but she has left again. Anyway, then to our viewers, thank you very much for joining the community show every Monday between 2 to 4 p.m. Thank you for loving us, and thank you for being a part of this conversation. From us to you, I now say have a lovely week. Oh, Vanessa, I'm seeing your hand is raised up again. Okay. Let's give Vanessa a chance to just say, her last words. I see her hand is up. She says she has been having issues around network. Vanessa, are you there? If you're there, then please go ahead and just, give us your last words. Unfortunately, we shall have to close without Vanessa. Like I said, thank you very much. You've been an amazing panel. And from us to you, we say goodbye. See you next week, same time, as we bring you more conversations around issues that affect your community directly. Thank you. Subscribe to the Civic Space TV and follow the community show. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a lovely week.